You gave them heaven, but they wanted hell. So now you disappear and let them live with the silence of what they'll never feel again. Let that sink in. You gave them peace, loyalty, softness, laughter, safety. You gave them a place to rest, a place to be seen. And what did they do? They mocked it, ignored it, cheated it, trashed it like it was nothing. My friends, when someone throws away heaven, you don't argue, you vanish, and you let the absence destroy what your presence held together. So hit that like button and subscribe right now, because what you're about to learn isn't for the weak. This is for the ones who are done begging, done explaining, and done being a doormat for people who can't even spell the word loyalty. Stay with me. Hey folks, imagine this. Imagine handing someone a rare, beautiful flower. It blooms in your hands. It smells like warmth, like comfort, like truth, and they take it and stomp on it. Not because the flower wasn't beautiful, but because they're the kind of person who thinks beauty will always come back. That's what happened to you. You were the rare one, the one with heart, the one with soul, the one who showed up when they didn't deserve it, and they treated you like garbage because they never believed you'd walk away. But here's the twist. You will, and when you do, they'll chase you like their life depends on it, because suddenly they'll realize the peace you gave them was once in a lifetime, and it's never coming back. They'll scroll your old messages like they're scriptures. They'll replay your laugh in their head while sitting next to someone who doesn't even know how to hold a conversation. They'll remember the way you touched their shoulder, the way you said, "Be safe," like you meant it, the way you always saw through their fake strength, and it'll burn. Because now, the light is gone. And you know what darkness really feels like? It feels like regret. Quiet, cold, sleepless regret. They'll pretend they're fine. They'll post their little "I'm living my best life" nonsense. They'll flirt. They'll party. But behind that fake smile is a person screaming for another hit of your energy. But it's gone. You've locked the door. You've thrown away the key. You're not the one chasing anymore. You're the one that got away. And I need you to hear this. You were never too much. You were never too intense, too emotional, too loyal. You were too rare. And rare things don't beg to be understood. Rare things get missed for the rest of someone's life. So stop asking, "Why didn't they see me?" and start saying, "Thank you for showing me your level." Because now you're rising. You're done playing small, done shrinking to fit their shallow world, done giving your gold to people who eat off paper plates. This is your power now. You disappear, not to punish, but to preserve your peace. You disappear because they lost the privilege of your presence. You disappear, and you let silence speak the truth that your words never could. Write this in the comments right now. Heaven is closed. Say it with power. Say it with pride. Say it like someone who's done being disrespected. And if you're feeling the fire already, if this message hit your chest like a storm, smash that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because I'm about to show you how disappearing with grace becomes the greatest revenge they never saw coming. Number 1, you were the light in their darkness, and they got too used to the sunrise. You were the lighthouse in their storm, but they sailed away like the light would always be there. Now, let them crash into the waves alone. My friends, sometimes the biggest mistake you can make is loving someone like they were the last human on earth. When they treated you like a pit stop on their way to chaos, you gave them peace. They chose confusion. You gave them loyalty. They played games. And now you disappear. Not to be cruel, but to be clear. You were the light. You were the gift. You were the calm in their crazy. And the moment you stop showing up, the silence will hit harder than any goodbye ever could. And listen to this. They didn't fall in love with you. They got addicted to how easy it was to take you for granted. Let that hit too, because some of you out here, you didn't just love someone, you carried them. You were the light in their tunnel. You were the one who answered every time they went silent, the one who forgave when they fed you lies, the one who stayed when they should have been thrown out with the rest of the emotional trash. And what did they do? They didn't fall to their knees in gratitude. They didn't step up. They got lazy, complacent, spoiled by your glow. They started treating your warmth like it was a given, like you were a hotel for their emotional hangovers, like your kindness was something they could check in and out of. And now they don't feel that heat anymore. Now they're cold, and that cold. That's not the weather, my friend. That's your absence. Hey, folks. Imagine this, a home with the fireplace always lit, cozy, glowing, soft, and every night they come home late, tracking dirt on the floors, barely looking at you, barely speaking, but always expecting the fire to be warm, always expecting you to stay up waiting just in case they decide to remember you. Until one night, the fire's out. The room is quiet, no welcome, no warmth. Just the echo of what they killed with their own neglect. You were the fire, and they played with you like you were a lighter they could flick on and off at will. But now that you've gone silent, now that the glow is gone, they're starting to panic. Wait, where did they go? Why aren't they texting first? Did I push too far? You see, silence makes people uncomfortable. Especially people who were used to disrespecting you and still having access to your soul. But that access? It's revoked. You're not their free therapist. You're not their emotional doormat. You are not the backup plan when their fun options fall through. And yet, some of you forgot this. Let me say it straight. You forgot who the hell you are. You forgot how rare your energy is. You let someone make you feel lucky to be chosen, when really they were lucky to even be near you. You begged for breadcrumbs like a starved dog under the table while they threw banquets for people who wouldn't bleed a drop for them. Wake up. You weren't needy. You were glowing. You weren't too much. You were everything. You weren't crazy. You were consistent. And they were just too blind, too selfish, or too emotionally bankrupt to receive you properly. But let me tell you this. Light is a privilege, not a guarantee. And now that you've dimmed it, they're not just confused, they're terrified, because that constant beam of warmth, that steady flame they never appreciated, is gone. And what's left? Darkness. Not the peaceful kind, the hollow kind, the one that whispers reminders, the one that says, you had them and you blew it. And yet, I know it's hard. I know you're still fighting the urge to text, to explain, to prove that you were worth loving. I know it feels like disappearing will make you look like you lost, like they'll forget you, like you'll be just another name in their phone. But let me hit you with truth. People never forget the light that healed them when they were broken. They might pretend, they might fake smile and distract themselves, but deep down, in the quiet moments when they're lying in that dark room alone, that's when they remember. You gave them heaven. You gave them your best. You gave them loyalty in a world full of clowns. You were the sunrise in their mess. But they got too used to it. They thought you'd never walk. So now let them feel it. Let them sit in the cold. It's not your job to warm someone who throws your firewood into the trash. And don't you dare feel bad for pulling back. You're not abandoning them. You're reclaiming yourself. You're not playing games. You're ending the performance. You're not being petty. You're finally being powerful. Look around. People treat what's rare like it's replaceable until they realize they can't recreate that energy with someone else. And by the time they figure it out, you'll be long gone, healing, growing, laughing louder, loving yourself harder. That's the story now. So this is your moment to rise. No more explaining, no more performing, no more chasing people who only ever clapped when they needed something. This is your era of silence, your season of vanishing, your divine detachment, because you were the light, and now that they're in darkness, maybe they'll finally understand what they lost. But that's no longer your concern. Your job now? Shine for yourself. Glow in your own mirror. Be the sunrise in your own damn life. Write this in the comments right now. I was the light. Now I'm the lesson. Say it. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you're not the one crying in corners anymore. You're the one they wish they never underestimated. And stay with me, because next, we're going to break down exactly why their rejection was never about you, and why your comeback will make their pride shatter like glass. Number 2. Rejection is not a sign of your value, it's a sign of their blindness. They didn't reject you because you weren't valuable. They rejected you because they were too blind, too basic, too emotionally bankrupt to recognize the treasure standing right in front of them. Let's be real, my friends. Some of you are out here grieving over people who don't even have the depth to understand the type of soul you carry. And that's the problem. You're sitting there, heart in pieces, wondering, was I not enough? While they're out chasing surface-level distractions, confusing noise with love and chaos with connection. But let me hit you with a truth bomb. You were gold. They just had glitter in their eyes. They couldn't see you, not because you were invisible, but because they were shallow. You offered them loyalty, softness, vulnerability, and realness, and they rejected it like it was disposable. Not because it was, but because they're the type that's addicted to drama, to ego, to the chase. You were too stable, too clear, too true for someone who lives in emotional fog. You showed up with a crown, and they laughed because they thought it was costume jewelry. Now, let them sit in regret. Let them fumble around with people who give them nothing but games and gossip and short-term highs that crash by morning. See, rejection feels like a wound, but in reality, it's just misdirection from the universe. You were meant to rise. And sometimes, the only way to get you off your knees is to let someone slap you with their blindness. That rejection you're crying over, that was protection, that was redirection, that was God, the universe, your ancestors, someone slamming the door because they knew you were wasting light on someone who couldn't handle it. But I get it. It hurts. It's hard not to take it personal when someone you would have done anything for tosses you aside like you were nothing. When they look you in the face and choose someone else. When they walk away like they didn't just lose a whole kingdom. But let me ask you something. Why are you still begging the blind to describe your beauty? Why are you still trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't even love themselves properly? That's not your job. That's not your role. You're not here to convince people to value you. You're here to know your worth so loudly that when someone turns their back on you, you turn your energy inward and walk away like a storm they'll never see again. Their rejection is not your shame, it's their curse, because now they've got to live with the what if, with the silence, with the memory of you laughing at their jokes, believing in their potential, loving them in a way that healed, and they threw it away. So write this in the comments right now. Their rejection is my redirection. Say it, feel it, own it, and stay with me, because next we're going to talk about why your silence isn't weakness. It's the most elegant form of revenge they'll ever experience. Number 3. You don't need to prove anything. Disappear with grace, not bitterness. You don't owe them closure. You were the closure, they just weren't ready for it. Read that again. Let it slice through the lies you've been fed. Because somewhere along the line, they convinced you that disappearing makes you weak. That silence means you've lost. That if you don't send that one last message, they'll never know what they did wrong. But here's the truth. They know exactly what they did. They just never thought you'd get strong enough to stop explaining it. My friends, you don't need to prove anything. Not to someone who saw you bleeding and handed you more knives. Not to someone who looked at the best version of you. The softness, the patience, the loyalty, and responded with coldness, confusion, or complete disregard. You're not disappearing because you're broken. You're disappearing because you've finally healed enough to walk away from the role you were never meant to play. The emotional performer for someone who couldn't clap without being begged. No goodbye, no warning, no, I just wanted you to understand. You leave quietly, gracefully, and completely. Because when your soul's been drained and your dignity's been tested, there is no explanation that can fix what their actions already revealed. You weren't being dramatic. You were being drained. You weren't walking away too easily. You were walking away too late. You stayed long after they stopped seeing you. You over-communicated. You overgave. You kept showing up, hoping maybe they'd finally wake up and see your worth. But they didn't. And now they never get to. Let me paint the picture. They check their phone. Nothing. They open your page. Quiet. They send a half-hearted, "How've you been?" message. And it's left on read. That's not pettiness. That's evolution. That's the moment they feel what they've never felt before, the full weight of your absence. And suddenly, all those small moments you gave them hit like a truck. The check-ins, the good mornings, the way you always asked if they ate. Gone. You don't disappear to punish them. You disappear because you've outgrown the circus. You've stopped dancing for crumbs. You've stopped being the therapist for someone who never wanted to do the work. You've stopped explaining your soul to someone who never deserved to hear it in the first place. And yes, it's going to hurt. Not because you're weak, but because you were real. But don't confuse pain with failure. Pain is just the echo of release. You're shedding an old version of you that was willing to beg for love. And now you become the mystery, the silence, the presence they'll feel every time they realize they fumbled something priceless. So write this in the comments right now. I disappear with grace. Let the world know, let them know, and most importantly, let you know that the moment you stop proving yourself is the moment they start regretting everything they never appreciated. Stay with me, because next, we're diving into the part they never saw coming, the psychological aftershock of your silence. Number 4. The psychology of aftershock. Why they spiral after you leave. The loudest heartbreak is the one that ends in silence. No drama, no explosion, just one day. You're gone. No final text, no closure conversation, just nothing. And that's what breaks them. Not the noise, not the tears, not even the goodbye. It's the quiet. Because here's how the psychology of aftershock works, my friends. The human brain craves patterns, predictability, closure. It wants to understand. It wants to label. So when someone's used to your voice, your presence, your routine little acts of love, and then one day it's all gone without explanation, their mind spirals. Wait, did I miss something? Why did she stop? Was that really the last time she'd ever call me? Did she mean it when she said she was okay? And now they're searching, replaying, obsessing. But it's too late. Because see, while they were taking you for granted, while they were enjoying the comfort of your consistency, you were waking up, slowly, quietly. You were stacking every moment they made you feel invisible. Every time you reached out and got nothing. Every time they dismissed your feelings like they were a burden. And now that you've vanished, it all hits them. That's the emotional aftershock, the psychological earthquake. And let me tell you something. It doesn't come when they expect it. It doesn't come when you walk away. No, it comes after they feel safe, after they assume they've won, after they think you'll come crawling back again. But this time, nothing. Not even a sigh. And that silence, it's brutal. Because now they have to fill in the blanks. And the human mind hates unanswered questions. So they guess, they spiral, they panic. Was she ever really into me? Is she with someone better now? Did I screw up the only real thing I had? Yes, yes, they did. And you didn't even have to lift a finger, because silence is louder than screaming. It forces self-reflection. It echoes in places that sound can't reach. And the scariest part for them, they realize you're not coming back. They thought they had time. They thought you'd check in again. But now they're watching your old messages like reruns of a show that got cancelled too soon. They're trying to re-feel moments that only lived because you gave them meaning. So stop thinking silence is weak. It's not weakness. It's warfare, quiet, clean, and impossible to recover from. Because when you leave without a fight, you don't just remove yourself. You remove their comfort, their control, and the illusion that they could hurt you and still be forgiven. And now, let them feel it. Let them sit in that hollow confusion. Let them replay every last thing they took for granted and realize it's over. Write this in the comments right now. My silence shook their soul. Say it loud. Say it proud. You didn't disappear. You detonated. And stay with me, because what's coming next? They finally realize what heaven felt like, right after they're locked out for good. Number 5. Heaven isn't a place. It was you, and now it's closed off. Heaven isn't up there in the clouds. It was you, and now it's closed forever. Let that slap the old version of you awake, the one who kept wondering, what did I do wrong? The one who thought, if I just love them harder, maybe they'll appreciate me. The one who gave warmth to someone who only understood heat when it burned. Listen to me. They didn't walk away from just a person. They walked away from peace, from softness, from a sanctuary their spirit never deserved. You weren't just someone they dated. You were a safe place in a chaotic world. You didn't just touch their body, you touched their soul. You saw the cracks in their armor and didn't flinch. You gave them softness in a world that only ever gave them games. And instead of protecting that, they tested it, mocked it, took it for granted. But here's what they didn't see coming. That kind of love isn't common. That level of emotional safety, of comfort, of home, it doesn't happen twice. They'll chase now, not because they're in love with someone new, but because they're haunted by someone they can't replace. That's the real tragedy, when someone realizes too late that what they had wasn't ordinary. See, you made it look too easy. You made kindness look effortless. You made emotional intelligence feel like a default setting, and so they got bored. They confused consistency with weakness. They mistook your calmness for lack of power. But now they're searching for that same peace in places that were never built for it. With people who don't ask how their mind feels, only what they can offer. They'll lay next to someone new and remember how you used to tuck their soul in at night. They'll read good morning texts that feel dry and generic and ache for the depth in yours. Because what you gave them wasn't attention, it was presence. You were emotionally fluent in a language they never learned to speak, and now every silence will remind them of that. But you've closed the gates. Heaven is locked, not because you're bitter, but because you've finally understood your worth. You now know that not everyone deserves access to your light. Some people will treat heaven like a playground until it turns into a graveyard. And it hurts. I know it does. To have given that much, to have been that real, and still not be seen. But the truth is, they saw you. They knew what you were. They just didn't think they'd lose it. And now, that unexplainable warmth is gone. Let them wander. Let them look. Let them post and party and pretend. Deep down, they know the truth. They got the real thing, and they ruined it. Write this in the comments right now. I was the heaven. Now I'm the lesson. Say it like you mean it. Say it for every night you cried for someone who didn't even have the depth to hold you. Number 6. Don't argue, don't explain. Let the silence humiliate them. Silence is not the absence of noise, it's the presence of power. My friends, stop thinking you need to say something. Stop thinking you need to explain your pain to someone who caused it. What do you owe a person who saw you breaking and kept pressing, who saw you fading and still turned their back? Nothing, not a word, not a message, not even a glance. You don't need a speech. You don't need to argue. You don't need to type out long paragraphs hoping this time, they'll finally get it. They won't. Not because you're not clear, but because they never cared to listen in the first place. They didn't miss the message. They ignored it. They knew how much you loved them. They knew how much you gave. They just didn't think you'd stop. But now, you have. And the silence you're about to give them, it's not revenge, it's revelation. Because explanations are for people who are still trying to convince the blind that the sun is shining. And trust me, they'll feel it. They'll feel it in the space where your laughter used to live. In the quiet moments when their ego stops talking and all that's left is the ache. Your absence will echo louder than anything you could have said with your mouth. Let it haunt them. Let it sit beside them when they wake up at 2 a.m. and instinctively check their phone, hoping for your name. Let it ride shotgun in their car, the same one you used to laugh in. Let it hover in the corner of the room when they bring someone else home. Someone who can't hold a candle to your soul. They'll feel it in the way no one else asks about their mental health. In the way no one else feels like home. In the way everyone else just feels shallow. And every time they try to outrun that silence, they'll find it waiting. In the hallway where you used to walk beside them. In the spot at the table where your energy used to make everything taste better. In their own mirror, when they see the reflection of someone who lost everything and didn't even notice until it was gone. That's the humiliation, not public shame, not drama. It's the slow, private collapse of someone who thought they could live without you. And now they're drowning in the silence you left behind. You're not being cold, you're being clear, you're not being cruel, you're being done, and that's what shakes them, because now they can't poke your buttons, they can't bait a reaction, they can't pull you into another emotionally exhausting explanation. They only get silence, and that silence is heavy. Write this in the comments right now. My silence is sacred. Say it with your chest. Let the world know you've exited the argument stage and entered the era of emotional authority. Number 7. Watch how they try to fake moving on and why it means nothing. They lost a real one, and now they're performing for the audience that never cared. Let's tell the truth, my friends. You'll see it right after your silence starts to sting. Suddenly they're all over social media, laughing a little louder, posting new beginnings, acting unbothered, flirting in public, throwing parties with people they couldn't stand last month. And you'll sit there wondering, were they ever really hurt? Did I mean anything? Let me answer that for you. Yes, you did. That's why they're putting on a damn show. Because no one moves on that fast from someone who poured heaven into their life. No one genuinely laughs that loud after losing a soul that brought them peace, safety, softness. What you're witnessing isn't healing, it's hiding. It's a desperate attempt to outrun the silence, to cover the void with noise, to act like they're thriving when they're really unraveling, one fake smile at a time. They don't miss you publicly, they miss you quietly. In the scroll between their story views, in the blank stares after the crowd leaves, in the way no one else knows how to look at them like you did, like they were more than their ego. Because here's the truth, they're trying to replace a soul connection with surface-level distraction. They're trying to fill a spiritual absence with external validation. But when the lights go down, when the notifications stop, your energy is still the one they're haunted by. You'll know it when the captions get louder, but the vibe feels forced. You'll see it when their new person looks like the dollar store version of you. You'll feel it when their glow doesn't touch their eyes. This is the collapse behind the mask. They're hoping you'll watch, hoping you'll react, because if they can get even a flicker of your attention, it means they still matter. But you've moved into your next level. You've outgrown their performance. Let them play pretend. You're too real for the circus now. And don't you dare get jealous. Don't compare. You are not in competition with people who were picked as distractions, not replacements. That new connection? It's a bandage. But you were the medicine, the healer, the rare one. And they'll never find that twice, especially not while they're still pretending they didn't fumble it in the first place. So let them act, let them perform, because one day that mask is going to fall. One day even they won't believe the lie anymore. And in that moment, your silence will echo louder than anything they've posted since you left. Write this in the comments right now. I outlived their performance. Say it and mean it. You're not in the stands watching their show. You're the reason the spotlight even mattered in the first place. Number 8. From memory to obsession, how to become the one they never recover from. You don't have to be in their life to live in their mind. Ghosts don't knock, they linger. Listen to me, my friends. When you leave after loving someone right, after pouring truth into their chaos, after holding space for their wounds, after giving the kind of soul connection that only shows up once in a lifetime, you don't fade, you haunt. Not because you're trying to, but because they've never met anyone like you. And deep down, they know they never will again. You don't become unforgettable by being perfect. You become unforgettable by being real, by showing up with presence in a world full of performers, by giving them safety when they didn't even know they were scared, by offering love without keeping score, and then walking away when it was no longer being valued. And that's what gets them. Not the words you said, not the way you left, but the way you made them feel. That feeling can't be duplicated. They'll try. They'll meet new people, smile at new faces. But every time it gets quiet, every time they get close to someone new, they'll feel you. They'll remember the softness in your voice, the way you remembered the little things, the way your presence could calm a storm, not just in the room, but in their chest. And suddenly, the new connection doesn't feel like enough. It feels empty. Because when someone's been loved by a soul like yours, everything after feels like an imitation. That's how memory turns into obsession. It starts with nostalgia, then confusion, then regret, and finally, addiction. Addiction to the moments they can't relive, to the energy they can't find, to the version of themselves that only existed with you. And you? You don't have to be anywhere near them for that to happen. Your silence is loud, your absence is heavy, your memory is alive in every space they now find boring without you in it. They thought you'd be easy to forget, but now they're stuck. Because you became a standard, not because you were flawless, but because you were honest, because you gave your best, and then you left when it wasn't being honored. And no matter how many people they chase, no matter how many smiles they fake, they will always be chasing the ghost of what they had and what they destroyed. You don't have to shout to be remembered. You don't have to be seen to be felt. You are the ache they never saw coming. Write this in the comments right now. I became the memory they can't escape. Say it with fire. Say it with truth. Because when you leave with dignity, you don't disappear. You become unforgettable. Number 9. The mirror effect. Make them face themselves without saying a word. The worst kind of punishment is having to sit alone with the version of yourself you created by hurting someone who only wanted to love you. Let that crawl into their chest, because this is the moment they're forced to look in the mirror, Not because you yelled, not because you begged, but because you vanished, and in your silence they're finally face to face with their own reflection. You didn't become cold, you just stopped warming someone who never brought heat. You didn't become cruel, you just stopped explaining your soul to someone who never listened. And now they're sitting in the quiet, realizing you're not there to absorb their mess anymore. And trust me, the silence, it's not empty. It's a mirror, a clean, merciless mirror that reflects back every lie, every betrayal, every moment they chose ego over empathy. And without your presence to blur it, they have no choice but to see it all. Because here's the truth. You were the buffer. You were the softness that made them feel good about themselves. You were the emotional cushion that caught their guilt, absorbed their distance, translated their coldness into maybe they're just going through something. You gave them grace they never earned. But now that grace is gone, now there's no one to blame, no one to decode, no one to text at 2 a.m. and get instant reassurance from, just them and the echo of everything they did, and they will try to run into other people, into distractions, into the fake glow of temporary attention. But the mirror follows, because it's not about your voice, it's about the energy they can't replace. And every time someone tries to love them, every time someone comes close, they'll see you. Not because you're clinging to them, but because they never healed the part of themselves that broke you. That's the real revenge. Not revenge at all, just reflection. They see how calm you became, how unbothered, how unreachable, and they panic because suddenly it's not you who needs them. It's them who can't forget you. And what can they say now? What could they possibly explain? Nothing. Because your silence doesn't argue. Your absence doesn't debate. It just reflects. Let them feel it. Let them sit in it. Let them finally realize that the person they pushed away was never the problem. It was their own refusal to grow, their own selfishness, their own fear. And now they get to live with that every single day. Write this in the comments right now. I became the mirror. Say it without anger. Say it like someone who no longer needs to scream to be seen. And stay with me, because in the next section, you're going to learn why being unreachable is the ultimate level of power. Number 10. Detachment is the new power. Why you're unreachable now. They thought they broke you, but they actually built someone they'll never have access to again. Let that burn. Because you didn't just walk away, you evolved. You detached. You leveled up emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And now, you're unreachable. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're no longer available for low effort, low frequency, low value energy. You used to chase clarity, beg for closure, lose sleep over mixed signals. But those days are done. You're not looking for answers from people who gave you confusion. You're not handing out explanations to people who never earned your presence. Now you walk into rooms with your energy already decided. Now you don't react, you observe. Now you don't argue, you exit. Because detachment is the new power. It's not cold, it's clear. It means you don't have to prove your worth. You just know it. And anyone who can't rise to meet it, they simply don't get in. You are no longer emotionally available for people who love inconsistently. You are no longer explainable to those who refuse to understand you. You are no longer negotiating your value with people who failed to hold it the first time. And here's the beautiful twist. That power, it's magnetic. Now they feel it. Now they see it, that you don't chase. You don't text back out of desperation. You don't fill awkward silence just to be noticed. You've become a mystery, not because you're hiding, but because you're healed. They'll try to come back, with charm, with fake vulnerability, with all the energy they never gave you when it mattered. But it won't work now. You're detached. You're not bitter. You're just done. Write this in the comments right now. I am emotionally unavailable to the unworthy. Say it like a boundary, like a crown, like the version of you that knows exactly who they are and exactly who never gets to sit at your table again. And stay with me, because now that you've reclaimed your power, they're about to feel the full cost of ever losing you. And now, my friends, let this be your turning point. You gave your heart, your loyalty, your light, and they fumbled it. But today, you don't chase, you don't explain, you detach, because your silence is louder than begging, and your absence is unforgettable. So if this hit deep, if you felt every word like it was written for your soul, then show it. Like this video. Subscribe for more unapologetic truth. Share it with someone who needs their crown back. And drop in the comments, I choose power over pain. Because the era of you begging, it's over.